Everybody in Australian real estate investment is watching and wondering what's going to happen with the Brisbane property market. And one of the key questions on the minds of people considering Brisbane is, why has there been so little growth across the board in the Brisbane property market to date, given that we've had such strong price growth in the larger cities, Sydney and Melbourne? The chief answer to that question fundamentally is that the underlying economy has been underperforming in Queensland, whereas the Sydney property market has been underpinned by a very, very strong New South Wales economy, and the Melbourne property market has been underpinned by the number 2 ranked economy, which is Victoria. The Brisbane property market has suffered because Queensland has been an underachiever in recent years. So why should we be considering Brisbane? There are a number of reasons. Firstly, there are signs of significant change and a very important underlying fundamental factor of the Queensland state economy. Population growth is once again favouring Queensland, particularly southeast Queensland. It is now, again, as it has been traditionally in the past, the number 1 state in Australia in terms of net gains from interstate migration. That's an important factor. That's something that's been true in the past. It hasn't been quite so prevalent in recent years, but Queensland has come back in terms of attracting residents from other states. One of the reasons for that is the relative affordability of housing in Brisbane and southeast Queensland. Another very important factor is that last year more jobs were created in the state of Queensland than in any other state or territory in Australia, which is another sign that the Queensland economy is improving. We've also seen a revival in the resources sector, which is very, very fundamentally important to the performance of the Queensland economy. And we're also starting to see another important factor, one that's been integral to Sydney's advancement as a property market, and that is spending on infrastructure. We're now starting to see signs of an uplift in spending on infrastructure in Brisbane, something that's been missing over the past couple of years. So we're starting to see an alignment of key factors that point to stronger performance in the Brisbane property market moving forward than we've seen in the last couple of years. Now, in addition to that, we have the big attraction for Brisbane, the reason that so many people, particularly in New South Wales and Victoria, are considering Brisbane and southeast Queensland, that is the relative affordability. Price is much lower, and also rental yields are much higher than they can get in Sydney and Melbourne. An example of the sorts of markets that we feature in our new Top 5 Brisbane Hotspots report is the market in the city of Ipswich in the southwest of the Brisbane metropolitan area. This is probably the most affordable of the markets in the Brisbane metro area. And many suburbs with median house prices in the 300s, some actually lower than that. Lots of major growth drivers there, lots of jobs nodes. Lots of major businesses set up shop out in Ipswich City because the land there is cheaper for them to establish their commercial and industrial premises, and there's good transport links for people who have a need to be heading north, south and west with whatever business they happen to be in. And an example of the kind of business that's attracted to Ipswich and which is creating major jobs is the recent announcement by the federal government of a $5 billion defence contract, the majority of the benefits of which will be going to Ipswich City, where the main manufacturing facility for this particular contract will be taking place. But just one of the examples of the locations that we feature in the new Top 5 Brisbane Hotspots report, a very important one to read, because with the wind down of the booms in both Sydney and Melbourne, investors are looking elsewhere and asking the question, where next? And one of the answers to that question logically would be Brisbane and southeast Queensland. That's it for now. Terry Ryder from hotspotting.com.au signing off. Talk to you again soon.